Hello, class. I hope that you are having a great day today and that you are behaving yourselves extremely well for the sub. I want you to think about how you've been acting today, do a little bit of self-reflection, and either keep doing great like you have already been doing or reorient yourself right now to focus and act respectfully. I recorded this video for you so that you would not lose a day of learning, but that you would be able to keep working on our math content, whether I am there or not. Please take this opportunity to work hard and act as well as you usually would on a normal day. Give your full attention to the work that we're doing today and follow along with me while I am working. As I write something on my book, you are going to write something on your book, and I expect you to stay quiet and follow along. Okay. At this point, your desk should be clear from all distractions. If you have a binder or a toy or a pencil pouch, I want you to put it in your cubby or on the floor out of your way. The only thing you need on your desk right now is a pencil. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to make sure that you're totally ready to go, and then we will get started. Nothing on your desk, just your pencil. Okay, let's go. I want you to grab your math book from its pocket on your desk and flip to page 11. Reach down into that pocket, grab your math book, and open to page 11. Today we will be learning how to multiply numbers that are multiples of 10. That means that we are going to be able to multiply something times 20, something times 200, something times 2,000, all the same. Yesterday, we practiced doing that with division, so we should be able to get this done today with multiplication. Let's look at question 1. Again, we are on page 11. On question 1, we have some ones in our place value chart. We have 2 rows of 4. 2 rows of 4 means that we have 8 ones. And we can see that represented down here in our equation. 2 times 4 ones. Class, you can answer me out loud. 2 times 4 ones is how many ones? 8 ones. That's all it needs us to say. It's 8 ones. And 8 ones in standard form is what? You can say it. 8. Fill that in. Now we're going to see how it works the same when we're looking at tens. Here we have 2 rows of 4 tens, and we know it's tens because they're in the tens place. Down here it says 2 times 4 tens. 2 times 4 tens is how many tens, class? 8 tens. Now, the different thing between our tens and our ones is that when we switch this to standard form, 8 tens is the same thing as what in standard form? 8 tens is the same as 80 in standard form. There we go. You can see how these are similar to each other, but not the same. If we were looking at 2 times 40, we know that we can do 2 times 40 by covering up the 0 and doing 2 times 4 and then putting the 0 back for 80. Let's look at the next one. Here we have 2 rows of 4 hundreds. 2 rows of 4 hundreds is 8 hundreds. Class, tell me all together. 8 hundreds in standard form is 800. This works just the same as the one that we just did and the ones that we have done before. except the difference is that we're doing 2 times 400, which is 2 times 4, which is 8, with 2 zeros. And the last one we're going to look at on this page is 2 times 4,000. We have 2 rows of 4,000s. 2 times 4,000s is 8,000s, just like all of our other ones. And 8,000s in standard form is 8,000. Okay, if you were following along with me, you should now have all of page 11 filled in your book. Flip over to page 12. Here it says multiply. Use the place value chart to check your work. This says 3 times 400 equals 3 times blank hundreds. So if we're taking the equation 3 times 400 and saying a similar equation to that is equal to it, we could say 3 times 4 hundreds. That means that this equation has us drawing something in the hundreds place. The way that I'm going to show this is by doing 3 rows of 400s. On your page, I want you to do the same thing. Now, I know that you know how to multiply 3 times 4 without drawing arrays. You know that 3 times 4 is 12. So this is the last time you will have to draw these in the place value chart. Going to give you a second to fill that in. This is representing our 3 times 400 by doing 3 rows of 400s. 3 times 400s is 1200s, and 1200s in standard form. This might be a little bit trickier than the one that we were doing on the front page because we have 2 digits right here to go with our zeros. It works the same. When you see hundreds, when you turn it into standard form, you're going to put 2 zeros. It's just like if we did 3 times 400 by covering up both zeros. 3 times 4 is 12, and we put 2 zeros for our final answer of 1,200. Almost forgot my comma. 1,200. All right. Let's scooch down a little bit further onto page 12, and I am going to show you how to do one last one of these because this one is a little bit different. And then I'm going to let you go for a little bit. This says 3 times 500 is the same thing as 3 times 5 times something. This blank that it wants right here is the same thing as our 2 zeros. So what we're really doing when we do 3 times 5 with some zeros is multiplying it by 100. I'm going to show you how that's the same. So when we say 3 times 5 is 15, when you're covering the zeros and then you put them back, it's the same thing as doing 15 times 100. Then 15 times 100 is 15 with 2 zeros for 1,500. All right, I am going to give you, let's see, I'm going to give you 4 minutes to work on the rest of page 12 through 13. Do pages 12 through 13, and I will set a timer. I forgot how much I said a second ago. I am going to give you 4 minutes. Ready, set, go. Okay, time is up. We are going to check your work. At this time, you are turning your voices off. I'm sorry for my funny alarm. I wasn't expecting it to make that noise, but it'll probably make it again in a minute. Okay, at this time, you have finished to the best of your abilities, pages 12 through 13. If you haven't, it's okay. Follow along with me and get all of those answers now. Everyone is voices off, back looking at question 7. Turn your attention up here. We have 3 times 3,000 equals 3 times 3 times 1,000. We broke those numbers up into 3 times 3 times 1,000. This is similar to things that we have done before, so that should seem natural to you. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 1,000 is 9,000. This equation gives, it shows us what we really do when we do cover up the zeros. 3 times 3 is 9. Put the zeros back for 9,000. Now let's look at question 8. Here, we're doing 2 times 5 times 100. If you also wrote 2 times 100 times 5, that would make sense because you're breaking down 200 into 2 times 100. 2 times 5 is 10, and then times 100. This one will be a little bit different because when you go from 10, when you have 10 times 100, you need to not just have 2 zeros at the end, but this will end with 3 zeros at the end. When you get an answer with a bunch of zeros at the end and you're trying to figure out, does my answer make sense? Should I have 2 zeros here or 3 zeros here? It's a good idea to go back to the problem where it says 200 times 5. So it wouldn't make sense for 200 times 5 to be 100, would it? No. But it would make sense if you were thinking about 200 5 times being 1,000. Okay, let's look up here at the top. Flip over to page 13 and you're checking your work right along with me. We're going to go a little bit faster here. 4 times 7, 7, 14, 21, 28, with 2 zeros for 2,800. 4 times 7, 7, 14, 21, 28. 28, sorry, with 3 zeros for 28,000. Here we have 7,000 times 6. 7 times 6 is 42, with 3 zeros for 42,000. Down here at the bottom, we cover up the 2 zeros and do 7 times 8. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56. With 2 zeros is 5,600. Right here, we have 5 times 400. 5 times 4 is what we do first. We cover up the zeros. 5 times 4 is 20. With 2 more zeros. This one might have tripped you up because you already had a 0 at the end, but it makes sense for 5 400s to be 2,000, not 200. So after you multiply 5 times 4, you have 20, and then you put these 2 zeros after the 20 for 2,000. 8,000 times 5. Here, we do 8 times 5 first. 8 times 5 is 40. And then we need to add 1, 2, 3 more zeros to that for our final answer of 40,000. I hope I didn't go too fast. It's so hard for me to tell how you guys are going to do with this, but I hope that this is going well. Let's scoot down to problem 15. Problem 15 says Jayla uses the associative property to find 9 times as much as 8,000. Explain how Jayla finds her answer. Let's look at her work. So she has 9 times 8,000 is the same as 9 times 8 times 1,000. Then she gets 72 times 1,000, and that is 72,000. Oh no, my light's turned off. I gotta go walk around and get them turned back on. Okay. Sorry for that interruption. Refocus. It's all right. 9 times 8,000 equals 9 times 8 times 1,000. 72 times 1,000 equals 72,000. All right, let's make sure that we agree with her. 9 times 8 is 72, and then she put 3 zeros there at the end. So I am going to explain how she did that. When I see this 8 and this 1,000, I know that that came from the 8,000. So I'm going to say, Jayla, it's hard for me to write so that you can see what I'm writing. Jayla broke 8,000 into 8 times 1,000. This allowed her to multiply 9 times 8 first and add 3 zeros. Really, it's attach 3 zeros to the end. Okay. Gonna give you a second to write. I said Jayla broke 8,000 into 8 times 1,000. This allowed her to multiply 9 times 8 and then add 3 zeros. Let's keep going. All right, now I want you to flip in your books to page 19. To page 19. This page is going to help us practice how to multiply numbers like 10 times 20, where you have some zeros in both places. So, I want us to look at the first problem. It's hard for you to see the whole first problem in the camera. I hope that you're able to piece it together based off of what you can see on your page and what you can see on the board. We are multiplying 10 times 20. These big squares should look familiar to you. They are place value squares, or they're supposed to look like those big flat hundreds. And they are there to help us think about how we multiply 10 times 20. This picture might also remind you of an array or an area model. Whichever way you're liking to think about it, we see 10 on one side and 20 on the other side. When we multiply them together, we get the number of squares that are in the inside. So when we look at our equation, this equation, 10 times 20, shows our 110 on the side multiplied by 2 10s, which is kind of an interesting way to think about it. The 2 10s in the picture that we're multiplying 10 times are right here. So here's our 2 10s right there. regardless of how the picture shows it, when we do 10 times 20, we can think of it as 1 times 2 with 2 zeros on the end. So we can have 1 times 2 is 2 with 2 zeros for 200. And here is 2 hundredths. We can also see those 2 hundredths right here and right here. Let's keep moving, and hopefully it will make more sense as we go. Here we have 10 times 40. This is 110 times 4 tenths. 1 times 4 gives us 4, and then we have 4 hundredths. We can see the 4 hundredths here, 1, 2, 3, 4. But we jump from 110 and 4 tenths to 4 hundredths. We can kind of do that because there are 10 tens in 100. Our final answer will be 400. If this equation is confusing to you, I encourage you to remember our strategy of covering up both zeros and then multiplying 1 times 4 and then putting both zeros back. If you're ignoring the 0, you have to put it back. Now let's look down here. We have 10 times 70. The 70 goes all the way across the whole top. One big piece here would be 7 tens all the way stretched out. And we have that 70, those 7 tens, times 10. 10 times 70 is 110 times 7 tens. 1 times 7 is 7 for 7 hundredths. Each one of these squares in the red is 100. So we have 7 of them here. And 7 hundredths in standard form is 700. All right. Let's flip over to the back. At the top of your page on the back, we have a rectangle. This rectangle probably reminds you of an area model or a question where you would see the area. And that is reasonable for what we're doing because we're multiplying 20 times 30. It asks us 20 times 30 is 2 tens times 3 tens. We can multiply the 2 times 3, which is 6, to give us 6 hundredths. 6 hundredths is the same thing as 600 in standard form. Again, if you prefer to think about it as 2 times 3 with 2 zeros, then that works too. All right, I am going to give you 5 more minutes to work on the rest of this page. Just do your best, and if you don't understand it, we will come back and check together in a minute. I'm going to start the timer for 5 minutes and let you go. 5 minutes. You're going to hear the old car horn when it's over. Ready, set, go. there's that alarm again. I need you to get settled and we are going to check your work. Your voices are off and your attention is up here. We were only working on this page, so you don't have any pages to flip back. Just redirect your attention to problem 5. Problem 5, let's do it. We have 3 tens times 2 tens, 30 times 20. 30 times 20 together makes 6 hundredths. 6 hundredths in standard form is 600. You're writing this and not talking. You should be settled and checking your work. Here, let's look at problem 6. We have 40 times 30. 40 is the same thing as 4 tens. 30 is the same thing as 3 tens. When we multiply 4 tens times 3 tens, we get 12 hundredths. 12 hundredths in standard form is 1,200. Next, we have 20 times 50. That's the same thing as 2 tens times 5 tens. 2 tens times 5 tens is the same thing as 10 hundredths. 10 hundredths needs us to give 2 more zeros for 1,000. 1,000 should be your answer. It's as if you had covered both of the zeros and done 2 times 5, which is 10, and then put both of the zeros back for 1,000. Let's keep going. Here, we have 30 times 70. We can cover both zeros and do 3 times 70. 7, 14, 21 with 2 zeros gives me 2,100. 60 times 60. 6 times 6 is 36. With 2 zeros gives me 3,600. Here we have 50 times 40. 5 times 4 is 20. And this one might confuse you if you weren't paying attention, but we have 20 and we need 2 more zeros after that. Don't leave your answer as 200 if you had 200. This needs to be 2,000 because after you multiply 5 times 4 for 20, you have 2 more zeros for 2,000. Next, let's look at 80 times 50. Very similar. 8 times 5 is 40 with 2 more zeros for 4,000. At the bottom, we have 7. What is 70 times as much as 90? That is as if you had 90 70 times. That wording is really just asking you to do 70 times 90 because we remember times as much, times as many, times as heavy. It's multiplying. So we're doing 70 times 90. 7 times 9 is 63. With 2 zeros gives me 6,300. Now we have it in all words. It says, what is the product of 60 and 50? Product tells us we're multiplying, and these words are 60 and 50. So we're multiplying 60 times 50. 6 times 5 is 30, with 2 more zeros for 3,000. I'm going to give you a second to make sure you're all the way caught up. I hope that this was successful for you and that you feel good about this. You probably have a few more minutes left in class, and so if you are the afternoon class, this will probably be the last thing you're going to do. I want you to flip to the 3 exit ticket. This 3 exit ticket is on page 21. Now, I want you to add 2 more problems to this page. The problems I want you to add to this page are 5 times 700 And 4 times 5,000. I'm trying to get it all in there. 5 times 700 and 4 times 5,000. Once you have that written down, set your pencil down. I'm setting mine down to show you what you should be doing. Do that right now. Set your pencil down once you have these extra problems written. All right. Here are your directions with your pencil set down on your book. You are not writing anything anymore. You are not solving these yet. This is going to be your exit ticket for today to see how you did learning this without me there. You will complete this absolutely silently. Your practice problems, it was a little bit less serious if you were talking or not, but right now everyone needs to focus. So when I let you go to work on this exit ticket, you will work on it silently and independently. I need to know what you know, not what you and your partner know together. Got it? Good. So when I let you go, you're going to complete this exit ticket and then you will rip it out and turn it in. If you are in the afternoon class, you may or may not have time to work on the area and perimeter paper. If you are the morning class, you probably do have time to work on the area and perimeter paper. So after you turn in your exit ticket, you will get an area and perimeter paper from Mrs. Frazier. While you're over there, tell her thank you for being your sub. I hope that you are being very respectful, and she will dismiss you from class when class is over. Be very good listeners. I miss you, and I hope you have a good weekend. So one more time, you're going to fill this exit ticket out silently, rip it out, and turn it in. If there's still time in class, Mrs. Frazier will give you the area and perimeter paper. Solve for area and perimeter on that paper. When you're finished, you can turn that in too, and then she will dismiss you from class. Have a good day.